So, today we wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on in Pinterest. So, in the grand scheme of social media platforms, Pinterest has sort of been very quiet for a long time. But they have been popping up and trying to do some things that have been interesting and not too sticky yet. But as of late, they have decided to join the short video wars as well as the live stream wars. So, I think what's so interesting about Pinterest doing this is that it's it's a place where you already go to learn things, figure things out, say things, be inspired, right? So it's pretty natural extension to include video into that. And if you think about how Pinterest looks on the desktop, it's, I think it's about 4 columns of images that scroll through. Now, back when I was at Hello Society, which was a Pinterest influencer agency that ended up getting bought by T Brand Studios of the New York Times, what we would do to kind of hack the system is we would take pins and make them very long. So we put like 3 or 4 images together and it would take up more real estate on the screen, right? So it's just a bigger ad. Engagement was up, clickability was up. So I see the same thing happening with these idea pins. So I think it's interesting in that it also sort of creates like a pseudo competitor to YouTube, right? Because
Mhm.
a lot of people go to YouTube for DIY tutorials, all that sort of stuff. But if you can now get that where you're already saving inspiration and ideas for like recipes or crafts or home projects, right? It's all
Mhm.
right there in one spot, makes it super interesting. And then the addition of the live streams actually makes it feel a bit more like a social platform and less of just like a tool, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
absolutely.
So, I mean, Michaela, do you use Pinterest at all? Have you used Pinterest at all?
I actually use Pinterest all the time.
Okay.
It kind of is something that I've gone through phases with in my life where I've been really interested in it and then I haven't gone on it. But now I use it all the time. I look for fashion inspiration, I look for quotes, I look for tattoo ideas. I use it for all sorts of things. So it's something that I'm on a lot, and I love that they're adding a short form video feature to the platform because it makes, like you said, it makes sense. There's already a community of DIY crafts, things like that on the
Totally.
on the app. And I think the cool thing that really stood out to me about the idea pins is that they don't disappear like stories
Right.
do on other platforms, and I think that's important.
Yeah, it's definitely important with Pinterest because, as you pointed out, you're not on that platform every single day, all day, like we are on Instagram or TikTok, right? So I
Right.
think that's probably where this will either help Pinterest be more top of mind, or it's also potential that the lives fall flat because people just aren't engaging as much, right?
Yeah.
But I think you hit it on the head. Like Rebecca Minkoff is who was going live today, and she did a great job. And what I love about the way they do lives is they've got different angles and different cameras, right? So when I watched a cooking one yesterday, it was the guy who's doing the recipe, and then a close up shot in the middle third of the screen of like the actual cake that they were making, and then the bottom were 2 individuals. It was like 2 of his relatives, his mom, and I think his aunt, who were making it with him. And so it felt like a cooking show style, right? There was conversation, it was interesting. And the same thing with the Rebecca Minkoff one today. It was her styling and showing tips and had 3 people asking questions and talking about it. And it felt a little bit like if Clubhouse had video.
It are all of the watchers of the live able to ask questions and interact, or is
Yes.
it
Yeah.
only
So they have
okay?
like a Discord style chat on the side where you can chime in and ask questions.
That's awesome. I like that.
Yeah, it's really interesting, right? So I think we haven't, Snapchat has kind of come back out of what feels like almost nowhere to be really, really interesting and relevant and pushing the bounds on a lot of different things. Pinterest is now sort of sneakily doing that as well, right? Um,
And
I'm
I
excited about this because I think brands could have a great time doing a lot of really cool stuff.
And I think what's interesting too about it is it's a great place for creators to come and create, as opposed to stories on other platforms where they're simply talking about their day-to-day life or what's going on. I think it's a better platform for them to create and share
Yeah.
that type of content on.
And it's easier to discover, right? I still think IGTV is sort of the way, or highlights is a way you could share down for Instagram. I don't feel like that's something that people can discover very easily, but discoverability on
You look at
Pinterest.
people's highlights, I never do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't go back and look at them. No, I think of them more as like a memory saver for me
Mhm.
or a memory keeper for myself. But even on Instagram TV, I don't use that too much. I don't know. Do you have that same experience?
I use it, but I found in the past month or so that Instagram is only feeding me reels and IGTV. I'm not getting fed hardly any
Ah,
feed content. So Maybe that's why, because it's just what's being fed to me by the app. But I find myself watching Reels and IGTV quite often.
That makes sense. I definitely do Instagram TV more than anything else in that scheme, but I think Pinterest has nailed it, and they make a lot of sense in terms of savability, usability. So let's see where they go, but I think it could be cool. And obviously, if any brands are interested in testing it out, hit us up. We'll get you going.
Yeah, absolutely.